many years ago. When I was 19 or 20, I was studying to be an engineer. And I worked 60 to 80 hours every week, and I was taking 18 to 21 credit hours. Most people took 13, 12. And so I rarely slept. And I get to school for the 7:30 in the morning class after 2 hours of sleep and be exhausted. And so I found there in the electrical engineers building a couple of small rooms they'd set up where they sold coffee and donuts at prices students could afford. And I would get there a few minutes early for class so I could go down and sit in this room and have a coffee and donuts. And sometimes after class, if I didn't make it in the morning, I'd go and sit and have coffee and a donut and work on homework. So I was sitting there early one morning, and a boy came in, obviously a freshman, and an older boy, probably a senior. And the younger one said, "I met the most amazing girl. She's really beautiful, and she likes me, and she makes me laugh, and she's great." And just all kinds of things. And I thought, wow, you're a very lucky freshman. And after all this, he looked at the older boy and he said, "But I got a problem. I don't think I can get serious about her because she's not a good student. She doesn't have a 4.0 average, which is to say a perfect score." And I wanted to get up and smack him. To find someone you care about is exceedingly difficult. To find someone who's amazing and makes you laugh and wants to be with you as much as you want to be with them is a miracle, a sacred thing. And that he would throw that away because something as insignificant as grades astounded me. And the older boy said to him, "Stop right there. Not good. Somebody will knock sense into this idiot." The older boy said, "It's rare to find this, and you should appreciate it." Good. I went back to my studying. And then the older boy added, "But don't get serious about her. If she doesn't have good grades, then she's not worth the trouble in the long run." And that was such... that one person can have such an insane idea, but that they could both have it? I didn't even know what to say to them, so I went back to my studies. Over the years since then, I have met an amazing number of boring people with boring lives. There was a time when the woman who was my mother in this lifetime tried to cast devils out of me, and when no devils came out, she said, "Well, if it's not coming out, it's still in there, so you're the devil," and she threw me out, so don't ever come back home. And she said a lot of horrible things. And then proceeded to tell my family that it was all my fault, and I was taking drugs, and I tried to hurt her, and who knows what. The truth is, I was sitting at the kitchen table in tears saying, "Look, this is me. You don't gotta like me, you don't have to love me, but you have to accept this is me." And she was screaming, "In the name of Jesus, you come out of him, you devil!" And it was a bit traumatic. A boy at university asked me why I was sad, and he's one I'd talked to a lot. He actually worked for me there in the computing department. And we talked about a lot of things, but he was, a big fat boy who had a comfortable life, and some sort of digestive trouble was his, but the only difficult thing he'd ever gone through. And he listened as we were walking around campus that day, and he listened patiently, and he said, "Wow, that's terrible." And after I finished, he said, "I believe that you are one of those people that always tells the truth, and this sounds like a really traumatic story, but I'm sorry, I don't believe you." He said, "I don't think any parent would ever do something bad like that to a child, so I don't believe you." And he walked away. Now looking back, I can see that it would have disrupted his world too much to find out that not all parents were nice people. But it was a little shocking to hear at the time, in the midst of my chaos, to have someone I knew fairly well who said they wanted to help and said, "No, you're lying, it didn't happen." He was a very shallow boy who'd never been through a horrible thing. Now I met a young woman in the computer room, because that's where I worked, helping kids with their computer stuff. And she had a great intensity about her, was a beautiful person and so kind. She may have been dating someone I knew, I'm not sure. But I talked to her a lot and got to know her and was really impressed at the kind of person she was. And at one point I found her crying and asked her about it and she wouldn't tell me. But I don't know, people like to tell me their deep dark secrets, so I took her someplace for, I don't know, the student union maybe, have a cup of coffee or lemonade or who knows what, and encouraged her to talk. And it turns out that her father had been having violent sex with her since she was 8 years old or something. And when she finally got to university, she thought she was free of him. But he would call her up periodically and say, "Come home, I need to smack somebody around and fuck them. And if you don't do it, well then I'm going to beat the hell out of your mom and then I'm going to rape your little sister." And she would drop everything and make the long drive back home and stay there and serve him in this way until he was satisfied. Maybe a couple days later she'd make it back to school and maybe she's failed an exam or something, but she didn't see any way out of it because he would do it to the people she wanted to protect. And she was trapped. She felt trapped. And I didn't know what to tell her. It was horrible. I didn't know how to help her go through it. But she had been through it, this violence her entire life. And she was an amazing person with a lot of depth and substance. And if I had told her about what happened with my parents, she'd have said, "Sure, parents do horrible things, I get it." And she would have understood and been there to support me. But this boy who'd never been through the bad stuff, I don't believe it. And this kid in the double E donut room, oh, I can't get serious because, she'll have good grades. It was in that moment, in that electrical engineering break room, that I realized, I was young, but I realized that the difficult things, they shape us. And people who don't go through difficult things, they never get to be shaped. And they grow up shallow, vapid, insipid, boring, trivial. If a headache is the only pain you've ever known, then a headache is a really traumatic pain. And so they get a headache and they're crying and sobbing and whining about how bad their head hurts. Well, or I have cramps this month. It's so terrible, you wouldn't understand. And if that's the most they've been through, then, for them that is a big deal. But these people don't become amazing people. These people, they grow up and they get married and they take cooking classes or play with pottery and they fight with their kids and whine about their problems. They get old and they talk about all their medical problems and how hard their life is, and then they die and very few people miss them. And this is 98% of humanity. They're never challenged. Or they find a challenge and they run away from it. So they never face a challenge. And because of it, they never have the chance to either grow strong or break, which is what challenges do for us. If we hide for them or let them roll over us, it means nothing. But if we stand up and face them and feel them and experience them, either we grow much stronger or we are destroyed by them. And I have worked with people in both those cases. People who've been badly damaged and people who have overcome. And all of them, whether they've been broken by their experiences or whether they've become much more, all of them tend to be remarkable people. They are people with more substance, with awareness, with depth. Even the ones who've been broken are people of greater depth. They just have greater handicaps they have to work around. One of the most beautiful people I knew, also one of the most damaged, was kidnapped when she was 5, hauled off into the woods and repeatedly raped, beaten, and left there to bleed to death. And she managed to crawl out of the woods and find clothes on a clothesline or something and steal them. And she managed to get all the way back to the city where she lived. And she told me her father was always away and her mother was an alcoholic. She went and took a hot bath to wash off the evidence and crawled into bed and had a horrible fever and pain for a week. And she never told anybody and her parents didn't know. At 5 she went through this. And there were other experiences later in her life, ones that were perhaps a little less intense, but regular beating and rape and such over years. When I met her, she was a very badly damaged woman. But she wasn't angry or bitter. She was kind and she was gentle. And she was exploring these parts of her that were damaged and trying to help them heal. And there were times when you could just touch her, just a touch, and it was too much. And she would freak out and curl up in a little ball and be unable to communicate for a while until she came out of it. She was damaged. She did not overcome these experiences. She was broken by them. But in that broken, I watched her in the short time I knew her work with hundreds of different people. People who were trying to come out as gay. People whose parents were sexually molesting them. People in violent relationships. All of them seemed to be sexually related, the things that she dealt with, but then that's what she knew well. And I watched her listen to these people and talk to them and guide them and help them. Had she been around when I met this little girl in university who was being abused by her father, she would have had something to say to help them, because she'd been through this experience and been changed by it and become something far more. And I was in a big city at the time where there were a lot of people exploring different modalities. But amongst the group that knew her, she was a kind of superhero. Many of them didn't know of her past. But when she'd walk into a room, they would all give their attention to her. When she'd say, well, I think this should happen, everybody would work to make it happen. She had a kind of life, a power, an aura about her that, even though she always kind of kept her head down and she was quiet and incredibly afraid to talk to strangers, everybody paid attention when she talked. She was something amazing because of what she'd been through. And so I'd like to suggest to you 2 things here. One is that I have been through some challenges. You have seen me go through challenges. You've seen me shaking. You've seen my emotions way out of control, where I struggle not to scream. You've seen me unable to stand. Diarrhea, vomiting, too weak to shower or eat for days at a time. And you say, how can you go through that? And I look at what these people have taught me and I say, how can I not? If I hadn't gone through the struggles, maybe I'd be married, maybe I'd be divorced, But sorting out my income tax or cheating on my wife with my secretary would be the most important things in my life. They'd be the things that mattered to me. I'd be one of the 98% if I hadn't been through these. Instead, I'm part of the 2%. And that's not enough for me. Because I want to change your world. I want to turn it into something unbelievable for you. Clearly, I believe it. I wouldn't be working on it. And to do that, I need to be something far more than just one of that 2% who are remarkable. I need to be far more than extraordinary. And life has taught me that to become more than ordinary, you have to face your challenges. And you become extraordinary. But to become more than extraordinary, you have to then face extraordinary challenges. And then either make it through stronger or break. And so in fact, it's not a question of how can I keep going through it. I choose it. I know this will happen and I willingly embrace it. And when it happens, I celebrate it. Because going through these things offers me the chance either to break, which I'm not going to do, or to become even more amazing. And it is only by becoming big enough, great enough, superhuman enough, that I can do what this world needs done. Right? So I seek these struggles, and I embrace them when they come, and even when I want to quit, or it feels so overwhelming, or it's just too intense for me to possibly describe, which is a lot of the time. I don't say, why am I doing this? I say, yes, this. I celebrate this. Yeah, it's awful at times, but I celebrate it because this is the furnace in which the dross is burnt away. What is me can't be taken. What is you can't be taken from you. So no matter how hot the fire, no matter how badly burned, no matter how much of you burns away, what's truly you can never go. What's truly me cannot be taken. So the more that I go through, the more that I face and celebrate, the more of the noise is taken away, and the more I truly become me. As much signal as possible and as little noise. See, so I said there were two things, and that's the first. It's not why do I keep doing this, it's I keep doing this on purpose. I celebrate it. Here's a chance to hold on to something amazing and become more than I was just a day ago. And the second, since most of you are only interested in autobiography and not biography, is that you will face challenges. When you're a kid, some little kid saying, I don't like you, can be traumatic, and you can come home crying. When you're older, the challenges can be a little more, facing a feeling that's new, and I don't want to feel that, it's scary. Or dealing with an issue, finding someone going through something horrible who needs your help. If you face these challenges instead of running away, and if instead of fighting or fussing or being an idiot, if in those moments you say, yes, it's a challenge, however, this is what I've chosen, and so I'm going to hold on to what I've chosen. I'm going to make it even stronger. Then when you come out of that challenge, you will be stronger. In this way, you can become one of that 2%. And since if you wish to continue to grow, life will continue to bring you challenges. Your life loves you. And so if you want more, it will give you more. It will bring you more challenges. And how you face those I may not be there for you, whoever you are, to say, now remember to ground, breathe, stick to your basics, keep both feet on the floor, and simple stuff like that. You may have to go through it without my help. In those times, if you choose to whine and cry about how hard it is, or rage against the world for being unfair, angry that someone had to die too early, or upset that you're blind or crippled, or just being an idiot because you have to feel a feeling and you don't want to, and I have seen all these things, then you will not grow stronger. But if you face this challenge, whatever it is, and say, yeah, maybe I'm blind, maybe I'm crippled, maybe I'm growing old, maybe my child died, or my spouse, or my parents, maybe I had to feel a feeling I didn't like. If you face it and say, yeah, that's big, but I'm going to face it, I'm going to feel it, I'm going to experience it, and through it all, I'm not going to give up what I've chosen, whatever it is, then you will grow stronger, and you will grow more amazing. And so those are the two, I don't want to say lessons, that sounds too tedious and pedantic, but the two remarkable mysteries that I will give you from this. One, I don't struggle. I celebrate it. And how do you struggle through a day if I don't struggle? When you're doing something like this, the pain is a given. But the struggle's a choice. I don't struggle. I celebrate all of this stuff. Right? That's me. And you can, if you wish, make a similar decision each and every time, because it's got to be done every time. Do I struggle, fight, whine, fuss? Or do I celebrate that life has given me what I asked for? A chance to grow strong and become something more, to find a new part of myself for the world, even if dark or scary. Do I celebrate it and face it and hold on to what I've decided, to my convictions, to my truths? And if you're willing to do that, then you too can become far more